Good evening. This is John Young with the Disc Jockey News and Disc Jockey News TV, coming to you live here Sunday night, March 23rd. We've got a pretty neat show tonight. We're going to talk a little bit about some of the changes in Facebook that were announced unofficially this past week. Then we're going to look at some thoughts on some marketing images. A lot of us use images, which of course is very intelligent when you're doing your website and different things. We're going to talk about a couple of things with that. That'll be short. And then we're going to look at CD compilations. A lot of us who've been in the business for a long time, we went from records and vinyl. Some of us went to tape. Some of us went to mini disc, CD, and of course now here we are in a digital age. Well, during that time frame, there really wasn't anything called a DJ compilation early in the process. You could get some stuff did some 12-inch singles, which were kind of DJ specific things, but you couldn't find, as we progressed, CD compilations until like in the 90s. All of a sudden it went crazy, and we're going to talk about some of those CD compilations that came out, and I've actually got a bunch here. Talked to some folks, and I've got a couple myself, and we're going to take a look at those. So it's kind of a history lesson for those of you who are new to the DJ industry. Anyway, starting out, Facebook. This past week, it was shared, and it's been speculated for a long time. If you have a Facebook page, not your profile, your personal profile is one thing. That's over here. But if you have a business page, Facebook has changed something. For the longest time, we could put up a Facebook page for our business, and we would get fans initially. They were, our fans, and then they turned into likes. But when we post something, your fans or those people who liked you would see, a percentage would see. When it was very early, it was a pretty high percent. You were probably over 50% for a lot of your stuff. As time has evolved, it varied. Sometimes you would have a good stretch as Facebook changed their algorithms. Facebook, that's a thing they do. They change their algorithms to figure out what they're going to allow to happen and what they won't allow to happen. Some people will say that this isn't true. That it's your content. Yeah, right, whatever. They're also probably trying to sell you something. So for those of us who live and breathe Facebook every day, we see these things happening. We see changes happening. And one of the things that you're seeing now happening is we've had that time where our fans would be able to see things. And then for a while this past, probably in the last 6 months, Facebook started to put more emphasis on engagement. If you were having good information that people were engaging, then they would show more people because your quality content they felt was worth getting out there, and it was quality enough that other people would want to see it. And it gave a Facebook user, it gave them a perception of more value to be on Facebook and be able to see things that would connect with them and give value, yada yada. So if you had a lot of engagement on your posts were actually being put out there as suggested posts and different things through Facebook's algorithms. And if you had good content, you would go a long way with that. Those days are done too. There's still some suggesting going on, but what the announcement came from a person inside of Facebook, and they were alluding to this a little bit actually at the Digital Entertainment World that we were at back in February, must have been, that Facebook is going to get to the point now where it's the free ride's over, basically. We were able to, those of us with a business page, we were able to ride that for quite a while. Now, in order to reach these fans or these people who like you, you're going to need to pay to have a consistent flow. The word coming out from the higher-ups in Facebook that know what's going on is that basically your posts now are going to be seen by about 1% of your likes. So as an example, if you have 100 people that like it, you're probably going to only have 1 or 2 that will see a post. Bad example. You'd be better off, let's look at 1,000. If you had 1,000, you'd probably have like 10 that would see your post, somewhere in that ballpark. It's not a lot. As you get the numbers get higher, if I'm 10,000, 100 to 150 are seeing, it's a low percent. That's the key. It's a low percent that are going to be seeing this, and generally those are going to be your rabid fans that are seeing that. Maybe the people who have clicked to get notifications. So that means every time something posts on your page, they're going to see it no matter what because they're getting notified. They'll get that little thing up in the top there. I don't even know what color it is. The little over where the little globe is, there'll be a little 1 or whatever over there. That means those are the ones who have clicked up to get notifications of it. Some people have set up a special interest group and they might see more frequently, but your typical average person is not going to see it unless you do something to promote it. There's a couple of different ways to promote it. One of those is the boost post. When you put up a post on your site, say if you have a picture from your wedding last weekend, and you think it's a really cool picture, you can go put it up and you can boost it, and they'll give you a price range, from probably $5 to $5,000. I don't know what the exact price range is. We'll just look at the price range right now. What it's showing me. It's showing me from $15 to $3,000 just on this one particular page that I have up, because I've got about 7 different Facebook pages. So you can boost that. And the boost, when you're clicking on the boost right now, and I say right now because that's as of today, the March 23rd, 2014, your audience, you can choose an audience. You can choose it to the people who like your page and their friends. There's positives and negatives to this. If you're a worldwide business, you need to be thinking about this because, okay, we may be getting, during business hours and such, you might be getting, the people in the United States, if you're United States based, and you want to just hit US people, you might be getting them and you'd be doing well. But say you do this late at night, where it's towards the end of the day in the United States, but now we're getting to, some of their friends in the rest of the world. I've literally boosted posts at different times of the day to test this. And I've had, I did it in the evening just to see what would happen, and for a few dollars overnight, and you could see that all the traffic that we were generating wasn't coming from the US. It was coming from around the world. If that's good for you, you're okay. If you are really wanting to narrow it down, it might not be something you want to do the people who like your page and their friends. But it might be. That's something you're going to have to weigh out. It might be, as a wedding DJ, you may have this instance where you want to hit the people who like your page and their friends, because you know that some of their friends are going to be getting married. That could be beneficial. If you're doing something like you're selling widgets, and these little widgets are only something that will work in the United States, maybe not so much. So anyway, your two options are: you can do that. Your fans, you can target your fans and their friends, or you can target, you can go really in depth, and people, you can literally target only your people. You can target people from have other interests, such as if you wanted to target people who are like weddings. You can go in a geographic region, you can target weddings. So, but basically you can target, and it doesn't really cost a ton of money. You might be able to target and put the ad out there for $10 and run it for 2 days, and you'll get some traffic out of that. So it's not really that expensive to do. It can be. I mean, if you want to push some money out there, the more money you put out there, the more people will see it. And truthfully, the more excited Facebook will be to push it out there. That's just how they work. We wish it would be different, but it's really not. So obviously that's one option. Another option is to be tagging in your post. When you have a post, say you've got a beautiful picture of a venue, you're getting back to, maybe you would tag the venue on that and do some different things with that. That works pretty well, because sometimes that'll be there. Or you can go to their page, the venue's page, and put up and share it on their page and say, this was a beautiful photo. I thought you guys might want to see this. You can do little things like that aren't spammy. You got to be careful. You don't want to cross the line and be spammy. You want to be approaching it from a beneficial point where you're trying to benefit other people. You're trying to benefit the venue, or you're trying to benefit them to make sure they can do their job better, and it's going to make you look better. But you can do some things with that. The last thing you can do is, and I know this may sound bad, but look at other social media options. Facebook is good, but we're seeing a lot more traffic coming from other social media options. You need to be aware of what's out there. You need to be doing things. You need to be, creating video on YouTube and tagging it properly and linking it properly. You need to be out on Instagram and different places. If you're good with a camera and you're taking a lot of pictures of your wedding DJ stuff, Pinterest is where you need to be. You need to be getting that out there because of the ladies, young ladies who are on that, because that's where they're heavy. So you got to be smart. Is this a bad thing? How long can you get a free ride? I mean, we've been basically playing in their house for a long time, and we've been, renting a room in the back of their house for a long time, making money off that, and we haven't had to pay for anything. Now we do. It's not a bad thing, gang. It's really going to separate those who are going to invest in their business. I mean, now you may just decide that your budget now means $100 a month in Facebook ads, or $200 a month, or $50 a month, whatever. But it's time to invest. It's time to, if you want to continue in that world, don't whine about it. because it's not going to get you anywhere. Facebook really doesn't care, because there's enough people out there willing to throw their money out into that, invest in that. And truthfully, that helps for those of us who do want to do that, because it doesn't clog up the news feeds. Anyway, so that's segment 1 for Sunday night. Segment 2. I'm going to just move I got to move my notes here a little bit. Segment 2. Marketing, effective marketing images. I've gone through in this past week. I just decided to spend some time, because I've had a lot of guys who are reworking their websites and their Facebook page profile pages, business profile pages. Just call it business pages. But anyway, they're doing a lot of that this week. And generally, the reason for this, for those of you who haven't been in the industry a long time, you get a time with the bridal shows where we go and we do the bridal shows in January, February. We're really active, and then you get this time, this Lenten season, and during that time, it seems like the calls really slack off. So what happens is a lot of guys are out there thinking that, oh my gosh, it must be because my website sucks. It must be because my Facebook page sucks, or this. So they're out there redoing everything. Their stuff is probably good. It worked gangbusters December, January, and February. But now here in March, which is a slow month where people, truthfully, they're still catching up from bills from Christmas, and money's a little tighter at this time of the year. It just is the way it is. So it slows down. So we decide we're going to panic and we redo things. Anyway, I've been watching a lot of guys do that recently, and one of the things I'm seeing an awful lot of, once again, is pictures of light shows or DJ setups. Well, the rule of thumb when you're putting together marketing material is that if you are putting something out there that isn't uniquely you, don't do it. In other words, if you're putting up a picture of your light show, and if I can take my credit card, which I don't have with me, if I can take my credit card and go to the local audio shop, and I can buy that same stuff, and I can put that together within a couple of hours because it's standard lighting, beaming lights, what have you, then it's a bad idea, because that means that it isn't uniquely you. It's not unique anything except a guy with a credit card. You want to have pictures up there that are showing what is uniquely you. Now, that might be a picture of you in action. It might be a nice headshot of you, because again, they're hiring you or your staff that's uniquely you. It might be the emotion from a father-daughter dance where dad is hugging her tight and there's a tear in it, and you've helped to create that moment. It might be the wedding party out there doing something different than just standing there dancing and showing them doing that different thing. That's fun. That's something that you uniquely brought to that event. That's what you want. You don't want to have pictures of lights. You don't want to have pictures of your huge sound system for weddings. You've really got to focus on what's uniquely you and what you could bring to the table and how you can show that through photos. Gear, if you're doing bar mitzvahs, you're going to need, or team dances, you're going to have to show big speakers, but that's not what you're doing on most of your Facebook pages. If you are, you need to show the pictures. You need to show that. You need to show kids having fun, but you need to show a wall of sound that's so big it's going to make your ears bleed. You're going to need to show video screens so large that if they fall down, half the flies in the counter are going to be squashed. You got to be showing gear, and that's, I understand that for anything with teenagers. When you're talking wedding, you need to be doing things that are uniquely you. And maybe those big shows are uniquely you, but you're not going to really realistically bring that to a wedding. So that kind of defeats that idea. So uniquely you. If I can buy it with a credit card by walking down the street, it's not uniquely you. Anyway, that's segment 2. So in segment 3, we're going to be looking at the different DJ compilations that were out in the 90s. In the 80s, we had our the tapes, and we vinyl and we got to tapes. We'd record things off the radio. You've probably seen some of the online little memes talking about the radio station waiting for the DJ to stop talking. Yeah, in the 80s, a lot of us had a little single deck, one speaker boombox, and we would record songs off the radio and try to use those at our shows. That was big. And if we could get one where the DJ wasn't talking and he wasn't over the beginning or the ending, we thought we were in hog heaven with that. A lot of us would do that single tape. We'd put a 90-minute tape in at night because we knew that the rock and roll stations that night wouldn't be talking over the music as much. We'd put it in, go to bed, and the next day it was always this mystery thing. What did I get? And you listen to it and find out you didn't get anything. But that happens. So anyway, the idea of compilations came out with the advent of the CD, and there was a list that was out there that started this. It was one of the first ones. Was actually the Mobile Beat Top 200. The Mobile Beat Top 200 was basically a list of the songs that DJs played. They polled DJs from around the country, and they took that list and made a CD series out of that. We'll take a look at that in just a little bit. But that evolved and became, the next 200, and then some country and others. So that was one that was out there. Then there was that was one, and it was available in the U.S., by the way. Now, there was another that came out shortly after, the Platinum Series. The Platinum Series was also a U.S.-based set of discs. I think it was a 40-disc set from the Platinum Series, and that was another one that was really a compilation of all the songs you would really need. The thing is, with both of those series, they were great. The DJs who got those loved them. The intent behind those was great. It's just that the music labels are really particular about where their music goes, and licensing of music is very difficult, and unfortunately that shut them down. It was no part of anyone involved with it. It was just, unfortunately, music labels can be that way because they have that ability. So as much as we loved them, they technically, they're there and they're gone, and you can't get them anymore. And then we have a couple of Canadian sets we're going to look at. A couple that are that were based out of Canada. Canada's music licensing is a little different, so but we'll talk about that in the video or continue. And then we've got one that was just completely illegal, and there were DJs around the country who were getting copies of those discs. And I'm one of the guys who have copies of those discs. And truthfully, I didn't realize they were illegal because I bought like most of the discs, and then I found out that when the one place I bought them from was shut down, that they were illegal. But I have them, and we're going to look at those. So that's our compilation here. So let's take a look at the discs. So we're going to start out first. Actually, this book was one of Lori's books that she used to DJ with, and I just wanted to share a few things. This is back for those of you who are kind of younger into the industry. This is what we used to have to do. These are called CDs, these round things. But we'd have to go, when we go to stores, and we were buying some of these discs, with the Jock Rock, After Love with some slow songs, and we had some From the Heart was a slow compilation discs. A couple of the series that we really got a lot of traffic out of. There was the Rock On from the 80s was kind of a cool one. The Hard Rock in 80s disc was really a cool one because it had 867-5309 from Jenny song right there. This is a way we would have to find a lot of the one-hit wonders because we couldn't find Outfield and Living in the 80s. That was a song that came off that disc. So this is, we were doing a lot of this before the compilations came through. We got into the Billboard stuff. The Billboard stuff were huge, of course, because we could go and buy some of the Billboards and get the discs. And then one of the ones that we got into was the Only Rock and Roll series. And it had Only Rock and Roll, there's an Only Country. These were all things we could buy off the shelf. There's Only Radio Hits from the different decades. Great discs back when we were using CDs. Nothing to do. These were actually, you could buy these in the store. You could probably still find these online because these were just discs. But this is what, actually my wife, when she was DJing, this is what she used. Only Dance. All these were, this book was actually one of the things she could DJ from for hours. But right there, you're looking at it. This is the first pressing of the Mobile Beat Top 200. TM Century did this one. It was a great set. We were starting off the disc. Disc 1, you probably can't see it, but we got Hot, 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 You Dropped a Bomb on Me, Tequila, Chattahoochee, Angel Eyes. Basically, the discs were set up so you could put different players and you could go bouncing back and forth. So it wasn't like all the country songs were on one disc. They were kind of varied like that, so you wouldn't be trying to go from song 1 to 10 on the disc. You might have to on occasion, but that was something that was really sweet about that. So we've got the very first was, I believe, 12 discs. I think it was up through disc 12. And then they switched, or the next set came out, and the editions were 13 through, I believe, 24, another 12 discs. So this is version set 2, which, as you can see, they got a little bit nicer with the graphics and things on the second generation. And then she's got the Boot Scootin' Country in here also, which were a combination of some remixes and some of the same songs made both lists, but these were probably, must have been about 200 of the top country songs at the time. But this was the Mobile Beat stuff from the 90s. I wonder if it have a year on this. I don't even see a year in which these came out, but this would have been in the mid to late 90s is when these came out. Again, there was one more that we don't have. There was a dance. I could not find that. I know we have it. It is somewhere. But this was the Mobile Beat set. Great stuff. Basically, from this, you could have done many shows. Not today, of course, because it's missing things like Cupid Shuffle and things like that. But the basics, our wedding basics, I probably, from this, the 2 discs, or the 24 discs out here, I bet we could still do half a wedding with the songs that are on here, because it's really cool. Okay, so that's the Mobile Beat top 200 that TM Century did. It was out there for a while. It ended up getting shut down because of licensing, and it wasn't anything to do with the two companies. It's just that the music companies are very, very particular about how their music goes out. So it's not a strike against them. For those of us who have these, we love them. It's just unfortunately that the licensing of music is much more difficult, and this kind of stuff will probably never happen again. But let's go look at the next one. So our next set of music to check out is the Platinum Series. Platinum Series was a 40-disc set that was available in the United States, and it was basically like the top 800, 900 songs that DJs use or could use. Fabulous set. This came from a company called ETV in conjunction with Promo Only. This is great, again, way back in the 90s. But I wanted to show you the front of this. Actually, this is from my DJ company we were running at the time, and this is one of those bumper stickers. If you ever get a phone call from the guy saying, "Hey, buy these ink pens that say stolen from DJ Joe," yeah, well, unfortunately, they got us all at one time or another, and I wasn't smart then. I bought those stupid things, and I think I've used 4 of them, probably on 4 books like this. In other words, save your money. This is a Platinum Series, and it came out, it had, again, 40 discs. It came out with a list by type and BPM and artist, and oh my gosh, it was just a fabulous list. The discs started with oldies, and you could literally go playing back, track 1, track 1, track 2, track 2 kind of a thing. They had organized it incredibly well. It was, again, a 40-disc set. This has been through the ringer. This is one that I think this was one of my personal ones for a long time. And it just fabulous stuff. I mean, we were through, everything you needed at the time. You could literally, with this set, when it came out, probably for 2 or 3 years afterwards, this was all you needed for weddings. Maybe a new song or two, but this was it. It had the old stuff, it had the new stuff. You get into, on disc 40, you end up with some traditional, even Christmas music. You get into sound effects. I mean, it was here. The Platinum Series was a fabulous collection of discs. This is the one that a lot of people would love to have been able to continue to get, but again, because of music licensing, it's just the record labels shut it down. Let's look at the next one. So our next DJ compilation set is from ERG, the Entertainment Resource Group. This is a Canadian release only. I've got this from a Canadian friend, so we could show it to you here in a video. This was the Knockout Hits. This was a box set 1 through 100, literally 100 CDs of all the stuff, the great stuff that DJs would play. Geographically more in Canada, but again, it's most of the stuff we play here. Same stuff. They came out with a nice book that had all the listings and such. Fabulous. The discs. They were a pressed set of discs of all the songs. There were some songs that cannot be licensed for this particular set. There's a lot of different Canadian laws between the Canadian music services and the U.S. music services. They can get some things that we can't, but they're also a little tighter with their music. So you end up paying for what you get, which is great, but they can get things that we can't. I mean, compilations like this, we can't even touch these, and you can still get a variation of compilations up in Canada. So this was 100 discs, a lot of great stuff. Missing some of the basics, though. Some of the basic songs that you found in the Platinum Series and the Mobile Beat Series, we had those, and they could not get those in this. Again, licensing of music is very, very difficult, but this was the Knockout Hits set from ERG in Canada. Let's check out the next one. Next, we have what was referred to as the Radio Essentials from, this is another Canadian set, by the way, Radio Essentials from Promo Only. Of course, Promo Only serves both Canadian DJs and US DJs, and now, of course, around the world. But this was a Canadian release, and again, Canadian release only, of the top, well, it started out, I believe, if I remember hearing it right, it was a 20-disc set, and then they did the second 20, or it might have been a 40-disc set to start with. I think it was the 40. Now, it's been a while, and I didn't ask the questions when I got it from the guy. So it's a 40-disc set, and then they had the additional, maybe, was it 10, and then 10? Something to that effect. Anyway, so it turned out, in this particular case, to be a 60-disc set, and I don't know if there was anything beyond the 60 discs. But you had, again, almost everything you needed. And this is a telltale sign of the 90s. You get over here, and we've got, on this particular disc, which is 56, which would have been one of the last ones in the set, you've got Colin Ray, Wade Hayes, Clay Walker, Joe Diffie, Mary Chapin Carpenter, Faith Hill, how many country songs on a disc. I mean, half of the songs in some of these discs were country, because in the 90s, country music was huge. Today, if it's not a country ballad or, you know, Carrie Underwood singing, it's not, you're not going to really be doing much with it. So anyway, this was the Essentials from Promo Only Canada, and then another great set that a lot of Canadian DJs could get. This was a little bit more complete than, in some ways, for the usable content than the Knockout. But the Knockout, of course, is 100 discs, and this turned out to be about 60 discs. So we've got one more set, but we've moved from things that basically were stopped because of licensing, what have you, to one that was never legal in the first place. So let's take a look at that now. So now we've moved from sets that were designed to be legal at the time, to the best knowledge of all the parties involved, that were stopped because of licensing, music licensing, to a complete bootleg set that has had numerous evolutionary changes. But this was the most, well, where the last I heard about it was the Factor set. What this is a couple of guys have started, and they were basically bootlegging this disc, and these were all dance remixes pretty much across the board. They would get their music from a variety of places and put these discs out, and these are, hang on, I'll pull one out. Here, get one out here. Burned discs. All of these are burned. But this was a set, and you're looking at, this is literally the way it was purchased. They were called the Factor series eventually. I think somewhere in here, I think we get to the point where they're referred to as the Factor discs. This was just a really kind of a cool, no, these are actually legit discs there. But that was the Factor series. I think I've got them up to 50 here. Generally what was happening is these would be produced in audio shops. The guys they would, like, one copy would go to an audio shop that would bootleg these. Not all audio shops did this, by the way. But they would send it in, or a guy would get the discs or get some songs, compile them on a disc, and sell these. There was actually some remixes that you could not find anywhere else but on this set, the Factor series set. Shut down numerous times. And for good reason, because everything they had was bootleg. So we'll just jump to where I was at. This is some sets that were legit, and you can actually buy some of these. Some of them just ran out of press. The Looking Back series. Now, I don't remember who did the Looking Back series, and some of you are probably sitting there thinking, "Oh yeah, the Funky and Ultimix people did the Looking Back." That was, I think, a limited run, and I'm a huge fan of some of those. And you know, this isn't going to go back in there. I'll put it back in just a second, because we might as well just continue on. Oh yes, and the Factor had some backtracks and Looking Back series. Hot Tracks had some different compilations that were kind of popular, and we had used some of those on occasion. A lot of these were at different DJ conventions, and I could stop in and pick and choose. And there were some different funky mix discs and such that we picked up from Ultimix. But again, those are all legitimate discs. You can buy most of the Funky Mix and Ultimix, and some of the Hot Tracks may or may not. I don't even know if they're around anymore. But the Looking Back series was actually a really good series. There's quite a few of those, and it's all dance remix. But the Factor ones are the one that I wanted to show you, because the Factor discs, it's totally bootleg. Nothing legal with those whatsoever, and they've been shut down numerous times. One store actually that I know of that was producing these, they were completely shut down because of doing this, and they basically, the doors were locked and off they were. So that is a look at some of our compilations that we've had in the DJ industry over the last, goodness gracious, well, it's probably been 20 years now. Oh my, does that mean I'm getting old? Okay, we're going to look at one more CD before we finish up. This is Ultimix 50. It was a special edition, kind of a best of from the prior, and it was a 2-disc set. And there's one song on here that is actually, you couldn't find it anywhere else. It was only done with Ultimix at the time. And it was, where are we at right here? The I Love Rock and Roll from Joan Jett and various artists. It was an 8-minute and 49-second rock mix. If you've gotten a chance to hear that, I'm sure it's probably everywhere now, but oh my gosh, at that time, this was the most kick-butt remix of Joan Jett and a lot of other great rock and roll type tunes. This particular disc, I actually have had offers to buy this from me back before CD duplication came in. When I first got this, I think I had, well, probably within a couple of years afterwards, I had one person offer me about $100 for it, and the most I was ever offered for this was $250. But I've had anywhere from $50 to $100, $250. Interesting, but the Ultimix 50, an incredible disc because of one song. I mean, there's other good stuff there too, but one song was one that at the time no one else had that ability to remix like Ultimix did. Great stuff. But that, again, a walk back in DJ history right there you have it. Our list of CDs, or piles of CDs, our books of CDs. You're seeing a lot of stuff there. Thank you to those who helped put that together and getting me some of those resources, because there's some really cool stuff there. Things that I haven't seen. I mean, I've heard of, but I haven't seen in a long time. I mean, for myself, some of those were my personal discs that I purchased, and like I say, one of them was my wife's set of discs. Those haven't seen the light of day in probably, well, maybe 15 years, because once we ripped, maybe 10 years. Once we ripped those, they were put in storage, and they were stored in the office here. So great stuff. Yeah, unfortunately, you can't get those like that anymore. But a couple of resources. Some of those you can still buy. Some of the Billboard discs, what have you, you can find them online. But one spot that a lot of people are kind of finding is if you go to, as an example, Promo Only, and even the Prime Cuts people, they have got back discs of music videos. You can find some songs on music video that you cannot find on CD that easily. And you can buy compilations of music videos. I know a lot of guys who are buying some of the compilations of music videos, literally ripping the audio track from that and using that in their show. Legal, not legal? You own a copy if you bought the disc. So we'll leave it at that. But that might be an idea if you're looking for some of the songs. Is think outside the box. Maybe you have to go and buy a video compilation, because you can buy a great video library from a couple of different sources. Some of our different people do that. I think Promo Only's got some. I believe the Prime Cuts, the folks have got discs, and Top Hits USA. They also have a library of discs that you can DVDs you can get with music videos. And again, if you have to, you can play music videos at your event. So anyway, this is John Young with the Disc Jockey News and Disc Jockey News TV, finishing up our Sunday night episode. Have yourself a great week. We'll be back Tuesday night. We're going to be doing Tuesday night with Ben Stowe. Wednesday night, we've got Nick this week from Chauvet. We're talking lighting. He's out on the West Coast this week. So this show is going to be different. And what we're going to be able to do, truthfully, I don't even know right now. But we're going to be talking lighting, and we're hopefully going to be taking a tour of where he's at. I can't talk too much about it because it's kind of we can't. But Wednesday night could be very, very cool. And then Thursday night, we've been talking music and talking how how you use the music, the new music and songs on the dance floor. This Thursday night, we're going to be looking at more the 90s genre, how we use those at our weddings, because we're going to talk to a couple of wedding DJs, and how we're going to probably pick out like 3 to 5 songs, and talk about situational use of these songs. What can they do? So we'll be back Thursday night. You can check the schedule. You can go on there. Sunday afternoons, we update the schedule for the week, usually over the weekend. But you can go to DJNTV.com, check the schedule of what's going to be happening online for the week. We have our times and episodes, and try to keep to those as possible, as long as our internet service is working. If you want to find these videos and more helpful videos, go to youtube.com/discjockeynews. Subscribe to our YouTube channel, and you'll get a notification every time we put up a new video, whether it's gear-related or educational content or some of our episodes for DJNTV. So, again, this is John Young with the Disc Jockey News, Disc Jockey News TV. Have yourself a great night. We'll catch you later. Bye-bye.